Hello, good afternoon everyone. So until now we were discussing about transferable type of letter of credits. So basically transferable type of letter of credit which I explained, this is because the intermediary or the buyer or seller, whatever the role you are doing, between the end buyer and the supplier, if you are in the middle and you are acting as a broker or an agent or middleman or a merchant or a trader or an intermediary or a buyer and seller. So in this scenario, you are not investing any money in the transferable type of letter of credit. But apart from that, since I had explained a couple of the letter of credits which are transferable, in which you do not have to do any investment. Another thing is, like, once you have got any experience and you have learned, you have earned some money in future from this type of transactions with the transferable letter of credit. So once there is another type of letter of credit which can be issued if the intermediary is in a position to issue it from himself. Depending on the end buyer is not going to issue a transferable letter of credit and you want to issue a letter of credit to the supplier. So that is another part. How that is done is in the place like where an end buyer you have but is not willing to issue you a transferable letter of credit, and you don't want to lose that transaction, and you don't want to lose that end buyer because you think that the end buyer, this is a very good deal, and the supplier, you have also secured the goods from the supplier. That is where you don't want to lose that end buyer, and now the end buyer is not willing to produce this transferable letter of credit, and he is okay in issuing a documentary letter of credit, irrevocable documentary letter of credit, which is not transferable. So as per UCP 600, and he is issuing it from his bank, not a problem that, and he is reliable, and you have come with him until the contract stage, this thing, and you want to go ahead. So now you have to issue a letter of credit to the supplier. So because this end buyer is not going to issue the transferable one, but you have to get this supplier another letter of credit. So how you do that is, this is advisable, and I recommend this one when you are having some kind of large amount of money and you have came on in that stage, like you are able to issue it from your own office. So this is called an corporate instrument. So this is also a letter of credit. This is called corporate instrument. Corporate instrument is nothing but, you have a buyer and you are here and the supplier is here. Okay, you know the supplier. That is why once you already have a supplier, then only you are going to give and you are going to make an initiation with the end buyer. Now let us say you know the supplier, and also you are sure about the products and you have secured the products based on the end buyer's negotiation with you, and first you already know this supplier, and once you know the supplier and you know the requirement of the buyer, you have secured the products. How you are securing the products? You are going to deal with the end buyer until the contract stage, and at the same time you are going to deal with the supplier and take him in confidence. So now let us say, as per the corporate instrument, the buyer's bank is, let us say, Citibank. So between your deal with this with the end buyer and you, the end buyer says like he will issue from his bank to your bank. Let us say your bank is HSBC. He will issue only normal IDLC. Okay, this IDLC is nothing but irrevocable documentary letter of credit. Okay, let us say it is IDLC or DLC or CIDLC. DLC means documentary letter of credit, but it doesn't have the irrevocable thing. So you always try to confirm with the buyer for an IDLC. This is good and this is good. CIDLC means confirmed irrevocable documentary letter of credit. This is also confirmed. This is also irrevocable. Irrevocable means by itself the bank cannot revoke because that is confirmed. Confirmed is an added extra advantage. So CIDLC is also a very good thing. So go for this one or this one. So when the buyer says that he is not able to issue transferable and you don't want to issue transferable and you don't want to lose this end buyer, at the same time you don't want to lose the supplier, and you are in a capacity that you can issue from your side, from your own office, this corporate instrument, that is nothing but a DLC you can issue to the buyer. So how you are going to do that? This end buyer will issue as per his promise, this IDLC or CDLC he will issue. So that is nothing but a letter of credit he will issue. He will ask his Citibank to make this to the HSBC India, and the buyer is in USA. So this Citibank is in USA and you are here in India. So your bank is HSBC in India, somewhere in some country or some city. Okay, and the supplier is Bank of China. And he is in China and the bank is in China, nearby his city or whatever, nearby his place. So this corporate instrument, because the buyer is going to issue non-transferable normal IDLC or CDLC to your bank, and you have received it. Your bank has received IDLC, let us say IDLC. Okay, now you are not in a position to transfer this IDLC to the bank because this is only received to your bank. You are not able to transfer this one to this bank, and because this was a deal done between you guys. I mean, like as per he was not wanting to issue the transferable one. Now you have this IDLC, because I said like you are in a position to issue documentary letter of credit from your own office. That comes into play here, corporate instrument. Corporate instrument is nothing but you have an office. This is corporate instrument is nothing but it is called an in-house DLC. Corporate instrument is nothing but it is called an in-house DLC, that is in-house documentary letter of credit, which you make as a middle controlling buyer or seller or intermediary, whatever position. You make this corporate instrument from your office. This is your office. You make this corporate instrument from your office by yourself, and this corporate instrument when you make, let us say this is the corporate instrument, that is nothing but corporate instrument, corporate financial instrument. Okay, corporate financial instrument. So you make this corporate financial instrument, and this financial instrument which you had made in your office has to have this clause UCP 600 written on that one. Okay, UCP 600 written on that one, and you provide this to your bank. Okay, this is nothing but another DLC which you have issued, and you provide this to your bank. Your bank will courier this to Bank of China. Okay, otherwise, even if the bank already knows that you have this ability to make this one, and you provide this thing, and what will happen is, once you provide this thing, corporate financial instrument DLC, this is nothing but another DLC, corporate financial instrument made by you, because you did not have this transferable letter of credit to HSBC from Citibank. You had this IDLC which was not transferable, so you made a corporate financial instrument to this supplier, Bank of China, from your side, and this has UCP 600 rules. So your bank will also accept that one. Okay, and you provide this letter of credit to supplier directly. So once, what will happen is, this supplier will go to his bank and will ask, and he will go to his bank, he will provide this DLC to his bank, and he will ask his bank to authenticate this DLC, authenticate the DLC which was received from you. So the Bank of China will check the DLC which was received by the supplier. The Bank of China will check the DLC, and the bank will authenticate, because it has UCP 600 rules. As per UCP 600 it was built, right? It was prepared by you as per UCP 600 rules, that is the corporate financial instrument documented letter of credit, and you issued it to him. Only you have issued a DLC, you have not issued a transferable DLC. You have issued a DLC to him, and he provided it to bank, and he will ask that this was received from you, and your you have a HSBC bank account and whatever. So he will ask his bank to authenticate your bank, this DLC provided by you, to authenticate with your bank. So what will happen is, now the Bank of China will authenticate. They will check the DLC, and they will check the letter of credit, how you had made it as per UCP 600, and it will authenticate through HSBC, and you will come to know, okay, this is fine. Now, as per the remaining things, it will be done. Like after it will be authenticated, it will be okay. Now what you will do is, now the supplier, once it is authenticated, the supplier will start to make arrangements for the shipping, for the transportation. The supplier will start to arrange for the packaging, preparing of the shipment, and he will take that one as per the shipping date. He will take those material, whatever it is, everything as per the LC. He will do the arrangements, and he will take that one to the port, and he will start working on the delivery documents. Once he receives the delivery documents, he will provide those delivery documents to his bank. His bank will provide those delivery documents to HSBC, and this is the same like every other letter of credit happens. Once they receive delivery documents are received by here, because it was HSBC, one of the top banks, the Bank of China will by itself, based on the documents, delivery documents you have produced, it will activate the financial, it will activate, and the document presentation has been done, and you are able to connect the supplier will be able to connect his own funds. And once the documents are received here, HSBC will provide your funds to you, because it was this one. So, and based on the documents received by here, once it is provided here Citibank, it will activate the DLC received by HSBC. So apart from that, HSBC will before prior activate the and produce you the documents, because banks only see the documents. So what the banks see is presentation of documents, because banks are not going to travel to the port and etc. things, as I say always, banks only see the documents. So presentation is the important thing, presentation of clean documents, that as per the LC, whatever documents were there in the LC, you have provided provided those documents as per the LC, the bank will give you your money. He has provided the documents, delivery documents as per the requirement of the LC, the bank will release his payment, because these are all big banks like that, excuse me. And also here, once the goods are on the board, depending on the FOB or CIF, once he receives the goods at the port, the title of the documents, he will produce to the shipping company, and the goods will be transferred to him, to his name, and he will take those goods from the port, and he will arrange for the transportation of the goods, and he will go to. So like this will happen. So this is the role of corporate instrument. Another thing is, corporate instrument you should go in this kind of deal for making corporate instrument or financial instrument, for making this kind of deal for the in-house. This is nothing but it is called in-house DLC. Okay, and it should be as per, and UCP 600 should be mentioned in the corporate instrument LC. UCP 600 should be mentioned, because it is nothing but you are trying to make a DLC from your own office with your own corporate instrument. So UCP 600 should be mentioned in that one, otherwise it is of no value. So now, as per your experience, let us say, and your capability, let us say you are already into the business for, you are here already into the business for 3 years or say 5 years, and you have done some good deals in your this duration, and you have a good capital, like let us say you have 100,000 you have earned already USD, and this corporate instrument at that time, let us say you have earned, this is my personal advice to you, 3 years to 5 years you have earned, and you made this much amount, or let us say more than this one, I hope, but let us say go for this one. Now the end buyer which you had secured in this deal, so the end buyer was wanting to issue a non-transferable, for whom we were talking about this thing. So the end buyer issued a non-transferable LC. So now let us say the end buyer's scope of uh, scope of material which he is wanting to purchase from the supplier, this is around 50,000 USD. Okay, 50,000 USD, and he is wanting to make this one, to purchase this one. So for this 50,000 USD, and you have earned, and these are your savings from these 3 to 5 years, and you are going to make a corporate instrument based on this savings, means you have to be very sure of this supplier, of this end buyer, and the supplier of goods. Because this money is going to come into play, because this much amount you have in your with you. This is because I am just wanting to advise, never go for this kind of big transaction with this little amount of money. Okay, because this is what you earn, and if you think that you can if you are very master at that time, you can issue a corporate instrument based on a non-transferable LC which the buyer did not issue, and you can issue it from your own in-house DLC on the name of the supplier. But if you are new in the business, so and end buyer, if you are still new in the business and you do not have this money, and you have secured a supplier, also you have secured an end buyer. Okay, and the end buyer is not wanting to issue transferable LC, and you still do not have any money. At that time, you have to insist the end buyer, because he is in the need of the goods which you are providing from the supplier. Okay, you can ask him, the end buyer, to issue a transferable LC, and you can just discuss with him on the basis of email or facsimile or fax, etc., like that you can try to provide some kind of discount on the products like that. Okay, but do not tell him that you will provide some kind of performance guarantee, etc. That can be taken in another way, but try to insist the end buyer for a transferable LC. But do not try to put your own money when you are in the initial stages of business. This is what you have earned after 3 to 5 years. I mean, very slowly, but you are concentrating in the business, but you have made this much amount. This is also very good amount, but you have made it somewhere. Okay, so but in the, even if at this stage also 3 to 5 years, you have an end buyer where the amount is only coming to 10,000 for the whole transaction. I mean, like your commission would be in this one, let us say 1000 USD, and you have a savings of 100,000 USD. At that time, this is possible. You can take some kind of risk if you want to, if something, but I do not recommend this one also and this one also. But it is better that you try to negotiate with the end buyer, even if you have 3 years or 5 years experience, but try to negotiate with the end buyer. Even if you are new, try to negotiate with the end buyer for a transferable LC, or else even if he wants to, for the genuinity of the goods, try to negotiate with him for a PATI DLC. PATI DLC means the end buyer will be will have confirmation from your side, and from your side, he and the end buyer and his bank will get confirmation from you. PIDLC, as you know that PIDLC is nothing but you are providing the policy proof of interest certificate that the supplier is in your hands and the product is in your hands. So this corporate instrument is recommended for people who are large, big players in import and export, and they can do, if that is a big large company, group of companies like that, they issue mostly in-house DLC instead of dealing with the bank in the initial stages. They try to issue and they have a very good contacts with the banks. At the time they make this thing, they make in-house, they make with their own stationery all these in-house DLC corporate instruments, and they then approach the bank and they issue this DLC to the supplier bank. So these are all the big games, but for you to be safe side, go with a transferable DLC. And if the buyer insists for the proof of products before making a final contract with him, the final contract comes before he makes LC, transferable LC. So before making his transferable LC, there will be a final contract. In that final contract, before final contract, there will be a draft contract. Before draft contract, there will be offer, there will be quotation, all these things come into play. So from the quotation, from the offer, from the and coming to our draft contract stage, final contract stage, all these times you have to negotiate with the end buyer regarding the scenario of what kind of LC he is going to make. You have to negotiate with him for a PATI DLC in the initial stages of your business. So PATI DLC is nothing but proof of products you are going to provide to him. So once the proof of products, which is like policy proof of interest certificate, you provide to him in a PATI DLC, if he is issuing this kind of LC, then with this PPI certificate, he or his bank cannot deactivate it, because PATI DLC is based on UCP 600 ICC rules, and as per UCP 600 ICC rules, no bank and the bank must have to accept the PPI certificate once. The bank must have to activate the credit based on the PPI certificate provided. So once the PPI certificate, PPI certificate means policy proof of interest certificate of the goods, which has the address and of the supplier, the product details, everything. Based on that one, once the bank receives PPI certificate, they have to activate the credit of the PATI DLC which they issued to your bank. So that is the thing. So my advice is, don't go in the corporate instrument. That is a big game player thing that can be done in future when you have when you have done lots of transactions and you have earned a lot, and you are in a stage, in a bigger company, you have a company, everything that you have a lot of property in your hands, and you can use this kind of instruments. That is in future case. So in the starting thing, go for transferable mostly all the time. So that's it for this class. Okay, thank you.